good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. This is episode 11 of Poker Uncensored. It has been a very long time since we last did a live stream, but there is a matter this evening or this morning, if you're over in Europe or Asia, that I felt the need. We needed to come back and do another episode here, go live, and let the people know what's going on here. Let people know about the corruption that is out there in the poker world that has a lot of victims and allegedly thousands of dollars that's been stolen from people. So, before we get into that, quick introduction about myself. So, again, I'm Matt, founder of Poker Uncensored. I help to advocate and fight for the people, the poker players, the small guys out there, those who don't have the ability to stick up for themselves necessarily, or who can't figure out how to get a voice out there. And that's why I'm doing this tonight. I'm not making money off this. I'm not in the YouTube ad program, so I don't even make any money here. Um, I'm doing this because I think it's important to get the word out to let people know about this problem. So to set a little background, let's talk about online poker clubs. So you have apps like Club GG, Poker 2, Poker Bros, etc., and those work on this customer agent relationship concept. So the agent, in a lot of cases, might own the club, but in some cases, they're really just a middleman. They work between the club owner and um, they work between the club owner and the player in order to facilitate getting people money on or off of the platform. So the agent, for example, if you wanted to put $1,000 onto your Poker Bros app, you send $1,000 to your agent. They load it up on the club. You play. Let's say you lose all of it. You can go send them more money to get more on. If you win $2,000, you should be able to tell your agent, "Hey, want to cash out 3,000? Right, the 1,000 you put in plus the 2,000 you won, and they should send you 3,000." Now, there's a problem here because it creates this environment that's rampant for corruption, for theft, for fraud, because the agent and the club owner have the option, if they're dishonorable, to steal your money, to steal funds. That's something that doesn't necessarily happen when you have a centralized cashier system with an app like, say, Poker Stars. Now, granted, yeah, Poker Stars, sorry, could theoretically steal your money, but it's a little less likely, especially when there's some regulatory stuff in there that helps to curb that sort of action. And there's little recourse for players that get defrauded, and that's because a lot of these apps, the terms and conditions say that they're not actually offering real money, right? To get around some of the legal challenges with that, they call it play money poker. Poker Bros is one of those, right? It says, we don't offer real money gaming. But what's happening is these play chips that you're getting, your agent and club owner essentially represents them. That's money. So there's a guy, his name is Nicholas Madeira, also known as Nick Madar. And Mr. Madar, who's pictured here, now I cropped this photo because it had his apparent wife and or girlfriend in it who, from all that I could see, doesn't have a clue that he's engaging in anything dishonorable. But he is accused of stealing thousands of dollars from poker players through online clubs that he ran on Poker Bros and Club GG. One of his clubs, Hypernova on Poker Bros, that's actually a GG club. He had an app on GG, which he ran, or which he still runs, apparently. But that's on Club GG. And the Neptune and Cosmic clubs that are on Poker Bros, which are apparently defunct at this point. Now, he used to work with live poker games in Massachusetts and the United States. He was the owner and operator of Patriot Poker back in 2019 for about a 6-month period. And then he joined the Eastern Poker Tour as a regional manager. Now, he no longer works there. His LinkedIn had shown that he was working there currently, right? It said December 2019 to present. However, it seems he just didn't update that when he departed that role. Now, he's not accused of any wrongdoing regarding live poker games. So, I mean, that's a positive, right? At least he didn't steal any money from people playing live. But when it comes to online, multiple people say that he stole their money, that he didn't pay them out. And in one case, somebody came forward publicly and they said 7,300 was stolen from them. So Jordan Bloker, or maybe it's Blotcher, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Apologies to him if I did that wrong. But he went public saying that this guy took 7,300 from him. And when he asked him about the money he owed, as these screenshots that he provided to the public indicate, he blocked his communication. So he essentially, stopped accepting Facebook messages, iMessages, texts, whatever. And so what Mr. Blotcher did was he put out a warning to let the poker community know about this. And it turns out that he's not the only victim. So another victim this week, Charlene St. John Devens, went public alleging that over 300 was stolen from her. Now, some people say that these small amounts or relatively small amounts, they don't matter. People shouldn't complain. I don't agree with that. I think that if you're stealing $1, obviously that's maybe not as bad as stealing $10,000. However, it's still stealing. It's wrong. And to some people, some people might say, oh, 300 is not a lot of money. Well, yeah, if you're a millionaire, okay, 300 is probably not a lot of money. But if you're the type of person that maybe you work for $10 an hour, well, 300 is a significant amount of money, right? If you're working at $10 an hour, that's essentially 3.5 days that you had to go to work to get that money. It's actually more if you account for taxes and stuff that get taken out. Well, rather than pay the money he owed Ms. Devens, instead he decided he was just going to block her communications. So that's obviously a big problem. And you would think that, maybe it can't get any worse, but oh no, it gets worse. So Richard Collier, he had advised him to consider settling up as soon as possible. Instead of doing that, Madeira blocked him. So then he went public and posted the evidence of that. Another source who wanted to be anonymous said there's another victim that's owed more than $4,000. So this is looking pretty bad. The allegations against him stacking up, multiple people saying that he stole from them. And then you get to the next problem where not only is he defrauding people of their money, but it turns out that this guy is running what at this point is now a 100-year-old scheme, a Ponzi scheme. Allegedly, what he's doing is he's taking new player deposits to facilitate payouts to existing players. That is a classic Ponzi scheme. The Ponzi scheme is named for a guy, Charles Ponzi, who was basically a swindler. He, Italian American guy or Italian immigrant. When he was arrested, he got 5 years in federal prison back in 1920. And what he did is he defrauded investors because he would pay out their false profits to them. And the way he paid out these false profits was by simply taking new inflows that he got from new investors to pay out fake profits. Now, people may have heard this type of thing maybe about roughly 15 to 17 years ago, because there is a guy by the name of Bernard L. Madoff who also ended up in jail. And what Madoff did was he had an investment opportunity. People put millions of dollars into this, billions of dollars, but his returns were all fake. He was simply paying out false profits coming from new investors, keeping the money for himself. And ultimately he went to jail. His children, they were ashamed of him. In fact, one of his children in shame committed suicide. I think one of his other children, unfortunately, passed away of cancer. His children had been unaware he was doing this. They are actually the ones that helped turn in Madoff. But basically, Ponzi schemes ultimately collapse because when the money that needs to be paid out exceeds the money that's coming in, the schemer can't afford to cover the payments anymore. And so what Madeira is accused of doing is running a Ponzi scheme using new money coming in to pay out people he has to pay money to, and also to have delayed paying out players because he needed to wait for money to deposit into his clubs. So what's his side of the story? Well, unfortunately, we weren't able to get it. So, everybody who's accused of something, right, they deserve a presumption of innocence, but multiple accusers and people provided evidence to indicate that what he was doing was wrong. Multiple witnesses, multiple people with evidence. He was given the opportunity in the Poker Uncensored Facebook group to post his side of the story. He declined. He was called by Facebook Messenger. He didn't answer. When he was asked what a good time to connect was, very politely, right? It was like, hey, I need to connect with you. Let me know when you're available, please. Good afternoon. Are you available before 10 p.m. today? He decided to not answer and, in fact, blocked the journalist that was giving him the opportunity to tell his side of the story. A final attempt was made to contact him via telephone. He didn't answer. Voicemail was left and he didn't respond. Now, if he didn't do anything wrong, you'd think he would want to tell that story, clear his name, explain why there's some sort of confusion, explain what he's doing to pay people back. But no, that didn't happen. And so at this point, what can players do? Well, I think at this point, players probably shouldn't put any more money into his poker clubs. You're not guaranteed that that money is going to be safe, that you're going to get, back any money you make, or even if you don't make any money, let's say you break even. If you put in 500 into his club, there's no guarantee you're getting it back. Before the Ponzi scheme collapses, if what's alleged is true, you should probably try to get all your money out, because the people that are left holding the bag are going to be people that at the end, there's no money to pay out to. Share the news about him to the poker community so nobody else becomes a victim. And since he likes to block people from communicating with him when those people, bring up the topic of the money they owe him, consider finding him in person to demand his money. He can't block you if you show up in person. The other thing that might happen, maybe consider involving the authorities. If the allegations against him are true, he's committing several offenses against both federal and state law. One person that I talked to already said they're thinking about talking to federal agents about him because apparently he's not paying taxes on the money he stole. And finally, consider playing poker on apps that have a centralized cashier and don't rely on poker agents such as ACR Poker or Poker Stars. That way you don't have to deal with an agent who might steal your money. So we'll stick around for another couple of minutes here, see if there are any questions that come in from people. Let's see here. You can post those questions on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. So let's see here. All right. Well, there are no questions, so we'll wrap this live stream up. Thank you, everybody. This has been episode 11 of Poker Uncensored.